Hello, my name is Will Ellington, and I like to write very short fiction. This is an example of a story I wrote recently. It's called Lily Sees Things. I have two problems. One problem is I'm not good at writing. My stories are mediocre at best, but I want to get better. The other problem I have is I don't have recourse to a creative writing course. It's just me at home in front of my computer. This video is about how can I improve my writing as a wannabe fiction writer. And what I thought I'd do is ask ChatGPT to act as a professional literary critic and give me critical feedback about my story. Before I do that, I'm going to play you the story so you get a sense of what it is I'm dealing with.
Frank liked to sit on his porch after work, sipping tea while watching the neighborhood kids play. One child, Lily, always caught his attention. She walked with a limp, but she always wore a smile. That evening, Lily turned to him and said, "Mr. Frank, a red car is coming in exactly 10 seconds. Frank checked his watch, skeptically counting down. To his amazement, a red car rolled into view precisely 10 seconds later. The next evening, Frank decided to test her further. He asked, "Lily, when will the ice cream truck arrive?" Without hesitation, Lily replied, "3 minutes." Frank was astounded when the melodic jingle of the ice cream truck echoed down the street exactly 3 minutes later. His intrigue grew into an obsession, and he began to document Lily's ability to predict mundane events. She never faltered. Until one evening, Frank asked, "Lily, when will I die?" Lily's eyes darkened as she whispered, "In 2 days." Frank was left stunned. 2 days later, on the porch, Frank watched as an ambulance sped down the street. His heart pounded as it stopped in front of Lily's house. Paramedics rushed inside. Minutes later, they emerged with solemn faces confirming the worst. Lily was gone, leaving Frank with a harrowing realization. She hadn't been predicting events. She had been orchestrating them. In the cold silence of that evening, Frank understood the true nature of Lily's gift, and the shock of it left him paralyzed.
Okay, so thank you for sticking with me, and let's move on to the ChatGPT feedback part of this video. So, act as a professional literary critic. Can you critique my short story, please? Be as direct and scathing as you like. Note that the story is purposefully very short. It is intended to be read in about 1 minute. The title of the story is Lily Sees Things. Here is the story. All right, so it's written a review of my story. Let's go through it together. Lily Sees Things attempts to weave a tale of intrigue and a sudden twist, but ultimately falls short in delivering a compelling narrative. Now, the story is indeed quite short, which can work well for flash fiction. Maybe that's a keyword I should have used in my prompt. This is flash fiction. That's good to note, so maybe the next time I do this criticism, I'll add that keyword. But it struggles to develop its characters or build a significant emotional connection with the reader. And that is the challenge of flash fiction, is in a very short amount of time, how can you build emotional connection with the reader? So the story's premise is intriguing, with the idea of a young girl who can predict events, but the revelation that she's orchestrating them comes across as abrupt and somewhat forced. That's interesting. I kind of agree with that, actually. Suddenly the story, if I jump back to it, she says, so 2 days later, paramedics rush inside her house, and it turns out Lily has killed herself, or that's the suggestion. She's committed suicide. And then after that event, Frank reflects on it, saying it was a harrowing realization. She hadn't been predicting events, she had been orchestrating them. And then he's paralyzed by the knowledge of that fact. But it doesn't really go into, maybe it needs a line or two saying what the implications of that orchestrating them are or were. So that's very nice. That's actually a very good comment. This twist, while intended to be shocking, feels more like a gimmick than a meaningful exploration of the characters or themes. So that's a very harsh piece of criticism, and I agree. It is gimmicky because it is not directly connected to the narrative. Character development is minimal, but of course, this is a 1 minute story, so there's not much you can really do in terms of character arcs or, fleshing out characters. But anyway, leaving the reader disconnected from Frank and Lily, their motivations, emotions, and backgrounds are left unexplored, making it challenging to invest in their fates. Frank's transformation from an observer to someone who uncovers the dark truth about Lily feels rushed and undeveloped. Again, this is the nature of the beast with flash fiction, but ChatGPT may have a point because there is a line in my story. His intrigue grew into an obsession, and he began to document Lily's ability to predict mundane events. Perhaps just a single line connecting his obsession with something in his past, something about him that prompted that obsession. Why is he so interested in Lily's ability? Why doesn't he just palm it off as a quirk from a neighborhood girl who's just, a stupid girl or something like that? Why does he, grab onto that? So maybe there's something in his past that prompts him to take an interest, and maybe a single line in between here could actually help develop the character. So maybe another good point from ChatGPT. Third paragraph. The pacing, especially in the beginning, is adequate, but the ending is abrupt and lacks depth. So this is the same echo of the same comment in the previous paragraphs. It's very, very quick and rushed. And again, it's flash fiction. But anyway, the story would benefit from a more gradual build-up of tension and a more nuanced exploration of the consequences of Lily's actions on Frank and the neighborhood. Right. So that would be branching out and opening the story up into a longer piece. And my goal here is to keep this as a flash fiction piece. All right, two more. In terms of prose, the writing is functional but lacks vivid descriptions of or evocative language, which could have added depth to the story and helped in creating a more immersive reading experience. Yeah, evocative language. Now, this is another challenge with flash fiction. Perhaps a rewriting in terms of use of adjectives and similes and metaphors. Maybe I could add something, those sorts of things along the way. I'll think about that. Finally, overall, Lily Sees Things has a promising concept, but lacks the depth, character development, and emotional resonance required for a truly impactful short story. It feels more like a sketch of an idea than a fully realized narrative. To make this story more compelling, consider expanding on the characters, delving deeper into their emotions and motivations, and refining the twist to make it feel more integrated into the narrative. I must say that is a very useful and succinct and relevant and resonant piece of criticism, and I can't deny that it works, or at least for me, it seems to say something about my story that I agree is not there. So actually, this is very powerful. And so I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to do this with other stories, and I'm going to develop this particular story, Lily Sees Things, and I will repost it on my blog. And so if you're interested to follow the development, I'll leave a link in the description to my blog so you can check that process. I think it could be quite interesting to open up the writing process to other people, to be a bit more transparent about that and see if this could help other people too. So thanks for watching. I'm rambling. I tried at the beginning to say I would be succinct, but kind of failed miserably as always. But thank you for sticking with this. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this kind of video, let me know. If you would like to leave your own critical appraisal of my original piece, please do so. The more scathing, the merrier. I have no problem with negative feedback and are happy to engage with you in the comments. that's the whole point of making this video. Yeah, thanks very much. All right, until the next one, take care, everyone. Bye bye.